Well, hello, hello. Today we're going to have a little bit of an easy day or a gravy day, maybe. It's um, a very short putting it together page here, but there's a lot of information in the next couple of pages as we move into cursive next. Since you've just gone through some exercises, they're going to put it together. And remember how I was talking about there are actually strategies and things to consider. This, these two pages are a must read uh, because they do help you with that. There's understanding can do a lot for you. So I do suggest getting a piece of paper. This is some sort of light card stock from one of the hobby shops, I think. But even a printer paper will work. With a fountain pen, the printer paper, since it's designed for printers, can bleed and feather a little bit. Bleeds when it goes through, or feathering is when you get uh, the ink travels in capillary action around the paper fibers. So you get this kind of like blurry thing as the ink travels down the fibers uh, like that. I mean, that's a pretty exaggerated thing, but it's like that. It works well with it works okay with ballpoint. I mean, that's not even the best writing experience with ballpoint. Pencil, pencil's actually I find real sensitive to the tooth of a paper, how rough it is, because that determines because you're kind of sanding the the graphite, the carbon off the pencil tip, and you're depositing it that way, so it's like a real fine sandpaper. So the tooth of the paper can matter for that, like how much actually gets deposited. If it's too slick, the pencil just kind of slides around. Um, anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Excuse me, but we're gonna have this piece of paper because we'll do just some free practice. But we're gonna go ahead and get started. I am gonna have a sip of this coffee because I just need it. I'm feeling a little better, I think. Uh, I don't think watching the news is good for me sometimes. Hmm. All right. But let's center up and relax. Relax and focus at the same time. That they aren't mutually exclusive. I think they kind of fit together. Capital T, so crossbar first into the H. I went ahead and did connect that sort of accidentally, but I always like that look. E. Oh, do I make the concession to? No, I'm going to do it my way. Oh, I did it. Now, T, remember I was having some problems. You might have different problems. Problems. A habit of taking that downstroke of the T starting way too far up. That you that you really shows that it's that weird oval and not just round, so you don't get just that. If you notice, they've got that nice space there, which I think really helps define the U. Something I can work on. Yes, the ends of the S are a little straighter than I usually do, but again, I'm a beginner. Remember, a little flat on the A, and then that kind of radical turn up, just like the U, and same kind of thing, radical turn and back down. S. Hey, there's that the flat, and that more not radical, but more aggressive turn there. B, I guess you could in some ways consider it just an A without all the parts. U again with that nice aggressive turn. I, just a straight on I. R, making sure I get that separation, but further up so I don't get this kind of V looking thing. E. E, just be disciplined on it to keep it from just turning into kind of a loop. D, it's like the A. T again with that. Now for me, I tend to go up too far, so correct for that. H with that nice turn out. E. Falling into it. At this point, guess I semi know alphabet. It's funny if you're reading or writing. T. That T got a little taller. So that's the thing, I can drift into that. I think with all these habits, you drift into them. F, since it's lowercase, I'm going to start there and then move to the crossbar. They link the crossbar. It's always kind of cool looking. I mean, that's semi-cursive. M. M's a tough one, I find. just to get a good balance between the humps. T, downstroke first since it's lowercase. H, flew that a little bit over there. Gotta watch that. G, again, my habit is to try to take it back up like a C, just stop it there and hit that crossbar. Now, that's the style of this G. So, I mean, I'm doing this G, so I'm following it. K, very linear K. S. Feel a little cramp, feel a little cramp. It's a good time to check in, see your where you are pushing. I'm on my things, but I'm pushing a little hard. That helps. Always a question. Don't forget the period. Dot your I's and cross your T's. I with serifs. No, it says capitals. Got the serifs, got the little N nuglets. Technical term, I think. Nuglet. That's what the dogs call their food. Their food nuglets. They're like nuggets, but smaller. Again, A. Make sure we get a nice. And it's pretty neat to think this is all handwritten. I mean, if you look at all the, don't now because you're writing. But between lines, this is all handwritten. Okay. You. Again, with that U, try to get that nice. Try to keep that R tight until you do your turn. Whoa, way off because I was talking. Another turn at it. There we go. Again, the D is a lot like the A. E, a little bit. E is tough because it's kind of out there by itself. But that's one to get because it's the most common used letter in the English language. E-T-A-O-N. There's a thing called the brown corpus. Now, it might be old. I think they keep changing it. But where they just took newspaper clippings, this guy, and counted all this stuff to get frequency out of whole language. But that can change over time, I suppose, especially with the elite. Well, it's not even elite speak anymore. I don't know what they consider Twitter and text and all that. When you think about Twitter, that 140 character limit, I don't particularly like it. I don't use it. It's just because I think it was originally just an SMS, simple messaging format. It was a limit of text messages back in the day, and so they were essentially, microblogging by publishing SMS text messages, and that's where I think that comes from. That limit, but it's I think compressed our speech. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I mean, Morse code also has an interesting compression. Braille actually has a compression. You don't do all you can, but you don't do all the letters all the time. There's a stage 2 Braille. On this page, lines 1 through 14 are spaced similar to a wide ruled notebook paper. Excuse me. So you are writing kind of the notebook page. Now we're just going to do the same thing. Again, crossbar. It's cap first because it's a cap. That's how it goes. Go ahead and connect that H. Now it shouldn't have come off, obviously, and see I'm kind of losing focus there. So I let my H separate. E, don't do what I do. I'm going to do it. Oh, that is one thing, though. Maybe that's the thing is this helps frame that so that the E doesn't stick out much. There sticks out a little more, too, it looks like, though. Doing a U freehand. Hey, feel all right about that? Not super happy with that one, but I'll live with it. I'll take it. Okay, now if you notice, I'm starting to get a little bit of a downward trend on my size, so I got to correct that. It is sort of weird. Oops. Yeah. Okay, I'm getting a little bit of writer's cramp. But that's the thing about correcting fast. You know, you start doing, and then you start trying to go back up. Whoa, and it gets all weird. You know, and it starts getting all crazy. You just start getting this line. I think that's something. Look at your size line sometimes. But there can be a little creep. Currently, it's me. Except I'm not little because I need to lose some weight. Too bad I got on some winter weight during the summer, unfortunately. But yeah, I got a lot of weight. I think it's back. I've got lower back problems. Uh, so it kind of a little bit more space there than I would like. I didn't quite line back up, but I'm because I'm doing it freehand, kind of. I mean, yeah. See, my spacing's off, and see, okay, I went tall, which I don't like. My space because and I started worrying about my spacing. I did that thing where I worried about the problems and didn't think about doing my right moves, you know, doing it correctly, and I think that's a little bit of a killer. F downstroke first because it is a lowercase crossbar into that R, which is again that nice touch. So classy. Are you an international spy? You're so classy. Now here they don't connect to you. I can't tell you why. Maybe it's just because the R is supposed to be sort of fluid with it down and up. Or I think you certainly could. I don't see any reason why you couldn't. And we're going to start joining letters actually tomorrow, I believe. Which for me, at the time of the recording, tomorrow will be a Sunday. A little fast thinking about my day. I wonder if it. I wonder if I should look. I don't think it changed that much. My P kind of fell apart a little bit because I'm thinking about tomorrow actually and all the things I got to do. Uh, and that's not this time. This time is for this. Flew that T a little bit. Okay, I feel okay with that E. Now I am resetting a little bit consciously. That's a little bit longer. Remember, the space of an N. It's not terrible. Uh, and maybe it was my misjudgment there. Uh, didn't quite stand stuck under. Oops. Oh, look at that. I jumped line. See that? From and was. That's me. Well, that's me talking a little bit. Interesting, they gave us extra lines to deal with it. Uh, but something I need to watch. Something I need to watch. And it might be good. It's like I need to get used to maybe that's part of the video presentation aspect is crossbar is learning to talk and do at the same time, divided attention tasks. But it is weird because I want to fall into um, a meditation, and maybe we'll do a practice page that's just meditative. Not today, but um, maybe after all is said and done. And it's kind of practice that's, and then we're into the letters that are half like on that too. Notice not a loop too, but you know it's an ongoing practice. This is more the lessons, and then there's the practice, which we'll talk about journaling and stuff. But so for me, some of it's letting go. This is imperfect, and it's letting go of that perfection for me, uh, and not worrying about the mistakes. Like I made that mistake. Okay, so what? It's on the lessons book. It's on a lesson book. But I do it. I'm going to do oops a little off on that T because I think anticipatory anxiety. Do two downstrokes, one cross stroke. Oh, what's this here? Double asterisk. The letters J, U, and W were added later. Oh, okay. Just a historical fact. Yeah, J was a modification of the I believe. I have a little coffee, what do you say? We're 15 minutes in, but let's go ahead and do it. Mm. So we're really not that far off a regular time, are we? Cross stroke. Of course, I've been yakking, yakking, yakking. But this is a concept day a little bit because we're at that full language here. Oops. Whoa, I'm way off. Look at that. T-O day. I used to have terrible twos when I did the loop twos. And I did that even when I printed, like as a child. When I didn't even, I think when they first taught us that without the cursive, didn't. I think they were trying to get us staged for cursive, but it didn't really work out. And they went ahead and did the split two stroke one. Well, see that? Oop, see, don't not like that. So I'm going to correct down here. Still a little long there. A little long on that. Let's just start it right there. Let's just start it right at the. All right, and they say don't do a whole page of them. There we go. Just but I did need to just reset for a minute on that. I mean, I think they mean double T, downstrokes, two downstrokes, unified. Yes, and don't forget the period. All right, so we're at 17 minutes. What I did want to go over a couple of things. Uh, Note that this is handwriting, not finger and arm writing. Move from the wrist with minimal finger movement. Uh, so they're talking about, and I'm doing that's probably right here. This is why I'm getting so much writer's cramp because I think I am moving from the fingers a lot instead of working from the wrist. Something to consider. Right, an M arcade and a U arcade for practice. Oh, just arcade. That's actually the arches, like original arcades, like in Roman architecture and stuff, or where those arches were. You'd have an arcade. Um, right, these arcades quickly in a relaxed manner. Okay, something to do, um, in making that nice arch. So you see, these are kind of neat little practice sections, and this is where an extra page, you know, writing from the fingers. That's me writing from the fingers. Uh, Not great. So then we know one thing to practice on. That's a good practice one for me. Okay, so I need some practice on that. Hence the paper there. The cursive handwriting many of us learned in school has loops with the ascenders and the descenders. It often causes illegibility. As you learn cursive, begin to get rid of those and just do linear things. And I don't know if they have it in here. I thought they certainly did at one point. Uh, Oh, there we are, right there. Read the letters to the top. You can read these two words. You know, America, Victoria. Watch it, but see, the problem is that you just get those loops. These you can kind of get some more defined stuff. And that's the difference. Is the loops just become? And I think we've anybody that's had a problem with their round hand, their looped cursive handwriting, you get this problem. E's and L's and all of them just kind of become and then F and E and L and U just kind of becomes this. Um, Check this is kind of fun. The interior and the exterior spaces, and you can even shade them to get that feel. See, it's actually kind of a point. Uh, so checking that and maybe feeling that part a little bit. I know you have to come up and come down into it, but you can feel that part. But it's that same. See, it's really the same basic thing. Uh, and again, here with the interior space of the U and the N. Maintaining consistent counters of these are, just Oh, that's kind of interesting. Note, invert and rotate pod. You can read it either way. Pod, pod. So that's a real fun one. Establish your own waistline when using text notebook paper. Consistent body height is one of the essential characteristics of legibility. Now, something about that I find um, in manual drafting. I'm sorry, I don't seem to have my pencil with me today, do we? Um, but in manual drafting, you do a lot of tick marks. Like if you've got a line, you might have an index mark for. You might even have like use a compass to figure out where the center line is. Um, got a line, and the blue is going to be pencil. You might have index marks, and some kind of arcs. Then you ink in your lines, but then you erase all the index marks. Sometimes I think it's pretty cool, and because the ink is black and heavy, and the pencil, this is the blue would be pencil, isn't. It's actually kind of a cool look. Um, actually blue pencil is used sometimes in some photographic old typesetting type photographic stuff, which I don't know a lot about. I just know that blue pencil is used in that because it would be invisible to some of the photographic techniques. Um, but I have done that with unlined paper or with paper that's college rule and I needed my own waistline. I've run a just a little straight edge with a pencil and then written with that and then erased the pencil. Uh, I've done that even with party invitations and stuff. Um, so letter shapes, there's all these different. I've written. Let me see. It's very easy to say I know the shape of an A. I've written it all my life. Well, here's the thing about, and it's coming up here. They advise you to look at your own handwriting upside down. So you just see the shape and form. Funny thing is, that same technique is used in drawing classes. It may even be cribbed from drawing from the right side of the brain, where you turn it upside down. And the reason is you're just looking at shapes. Because what happens is when you start writing or drawing, is with something like what they're saying with the A, you just have this idealized idea of an A up in your mind, and you just sort of make a symbol that is A. You just think in terms of the symbol, and you don't actually look at the picture. You don't actually look at the shape of the A. That's where you start getting those, that just that weird handwriting where I know that's an H, I know that's an E, J-O, and then this, that B. Oh, that's a fine B because I'm getting context clues, and I know that that's what I meant to write. Well, other people might not. Where when you just look at the shape, you're writing the shape. You're not writing the letter, if that makes sense. And sometimes looking at your own thing and even trying to trace that can be kind of neat. It's not maybe the most practical exercise, but it's kind of interesting to try. Um, but you can sort of see that U is essentially that U and that N are super similar. But it does, I think, help you with that. In copying signatures, forgers turn the originals upside down to see the exact shapes of the letters more clearly. That's the thing. So you don't try to copy by looking at it and going, I'm going to write my A. You have to write their A. So like even when I went fast, look what I did with that. Look at that loop. See, I was talking about just the concept of an A and wrote quickly because I'm talking. So right there. But there's a lot of, and there's a nice practice method. So there's a lot here. That's just why I wanted to have the extra page, uh, because you can even do things like uh, pull up a pangram. Like for instance, here and a pangram again is a sentence or a phrase that uses all all the letters. And there's a bunch. I can certainly put some in the notes. There's one. Oops. The five boxing wizards jump quickly. Let's just try that. Uh, so capital cross section T. Notice I'm not using any guidelines. Now this paper is actually feathering. I don't know if you can see that. that's actually feathering a little bit. And keeping that, funny thing is keeping the waistline's one thing, keeping your baseline's tough too. I wonder if it's this ink. I mean, not that this ink's poor quality, but I've used this paper before with different inks. Up, 5 boxing wizards jump quickly. You know what? I can just do it back. I can just do it backwards. 5 jumping. Don't like that. Don't like that. That's okay. We'll fix that. We'll fix that. It's just something to work on. No, I think they do that. I tend to do, and that might come from math training where the x and the multiply, and I get it. It's kind of school, but the x was the letter. The cross is for multiplication and those sorts of things. Just denoted them. Granted, it's like eventually everybody just drops that. I think it still has uses at times. But then the dot or just putting them next to the coefficients next to one another. Pack my box with 5 dozen liquor jugs. Oh, well, that's a pleasant one, isn't it? This paper isn't. I have to get some better paper. I have some, I'm sure. And my Z, I tend to do. I still tend to do that. And one thing they talk about pangrams I've heard is perfect pangrams, or the quality of the pangram is. Notice I kept a consistent line, but my 2 lines went like that. Um, is if you can get it so you don't do a lot of repeating letters. That's supposed to be just kind of cool. Has nothing to do with handwriting. I think it's just for people who like those kinds of puzzles. Uh, anyway, we're at 27 minutes, so a little overshoot, but a lot of talking. But I hope that was helpful because we're going to move on to Italic cursive, though there's some neat practice you can do, and I do suggest doing practice outside of the book. But at the beginning, it's like training yourself because you don't want to learn to practice mistakes, and this gives you some stuff to work on and some things to understand. Um, so that's good. I do suggest journaling. We'll talk about that in kind of a bonus episode type thing. But anyway, let's get now that we had a little time and you listened to me ramble for a while and write about 2 paragraphs. Hope you had a good day, and let's get on with the day. I appreciate it.